Have you ever had someone in your life that had a profound impact that made you re-examine the way you looked at your life and how you reacted to certain situations?
Definitely. Um, the most impactful and influential one would be my father. Um, be, Coming from Godwin, North Carolina, my dad still has stain to this day. Like, his death has been 15 plus years. He died when I was 14. And people still know who James Earl Williams Sr. is, Big Earl. Um, but I remember at 14, he used to raid one of his hustles. He was a paraplegic, so he couldn't walk. Um, but he used to raise rabbits. He used to breed them. I used to go with him to flea markets, and it was one of his hustles. And during the time, being so young, they didn't let me know what was going on. So it wasn't until later I found out that my dad had developed cancer. And he had went to UNC Chapel Hill Hospital, where the doctors at the time had told him, we're gonna go in, we're gonna do the surgery, you have a 99.9% chance of making it out the table. I remember my dad was like, he was gonna do it because he had already survived being hit by a bus. He was a paraplegic for so many years. He was never the one to be passive or take pity from anyone. So he analyzed it like, I'd rather just get the surgery over with versus doing the radiation. So he took the surgery, and I remember the very last time I had fed the rabbits with him. It was the last time we had a long conversation. And I remember my dad, he broke down crying. And I can remember on two hands how many times my whole life I've seen my dad cry. And I remember right when we got done, he looked at me and he was like, I want to thank God for allowing me to see you become a young man. He said, but unfortunately, I won't be able to see you become a real one. He was like, you're not going to understand this now. He said, but I pray and I hope later on in life you will. He was like, your mom and your sister is going to put you through pure hell. He said, but I hope I made you strong enough to be there for them, because at the end, they're going to need you. And at the time, I was baffled, like, why is he saying these things? And he was like, don't you ever in your life bite your tongue. He said, I don't care who it is. He said, it could even be your mama. He was like, you don't bite your tongue for no one. If someone hurts you, if someone did something, you speak up and let it be known. If you feel that there's an injustice, you speak on it. You don't never allow anyone to take your voice. And at the time, it was one of those things that I never understood. Because for the longest time, it was like, if the doctors were saying that he had a 99% chance of making it off the table, if the only reason why he took the surgery in the first place is because of this, exactly why did he have that conversation with me? And then later on in life, the answers of that was revealed. And one of the hardest things that I ever had to accept in my life was the fact that my dad had to die for me to be the man that I am right now. Because being a kid, I was mentally ill. I was the weird kid, the R-word kid. And even when I look at videos of myself as a kid, I saw those same characteristics. But I also saw how my dad knew this. So he was my protector. He was the one that kept me away from the negativity of the world. I never really was able until I was older to actually understand just how toxic society is, how evil people can be. But I had to go through that. That was my journey. And outside, when I got rid of the emotion of it, when I actually started to embrace and go through these psychological and emotional battles within myself, I started to realize and accept that his death is what was the birth of who I am now. Had he still been alive, I wouldn't have been so vocal. I wouldn't have to go through half of the stuff because he wouldn't have never allowed it. So then getting out of myself and my own emotion and saying, you know what, this is my path. My dad gave me instruction when I was 14. So when I look at my life now and I look at the impact and the growth of diverse perspectives and even my vocal throughout the years for other people, now my dad instilled that through that conversation. Because what I started to realize is that conversation was instruction by God. God led him to have that conversation with me so that I would be able to later on in life be able to see it come full circle and understand the hell, the trauma, everything that I experienced through life. Now, my dad already told me about it. He had already prepared me. Why? Nope, it's not for me to know. Just knowing that God positioned my life to where my dad had to give me that instruction. And then 19 years later, see it come into fruition because I stayed committed to the path. I stayed committed to the journey. Even at times when I thought I was going to lose my mom, it always went back to what my dad said: don't bite your tongue. You stand up for people. You don't let people take you out of your element. You stand up for who you are. You be vocal. You be the voice. My dad's death and accepting his death is what made me who I am today.